A true Reddit story, a real tale of betrayal inside your own home. A kind-hearted man steps into what feels like a fated love story, only to fall into the hands of a woman who can turn love into a weapon. This is a bitter, painful, and ultimately empowering journey. A story that will make you ask if love makes you afraid. Is it still love? Chapter 4 and Chapter 1. A love that felt like fire. I'm 26 now. I was born and raised in a deeply traditional Middle Eastern family, where honor, reputation, and family pride are tied to a girl's virginity until marriage. In my family, you could get away with anything: poor grades, poverty, even reckless mistakes. You did but one stain in the realm of sex or romance, and you'd become the disgrace of your bloodline. I grew up terrified of that. For the first 25 years of my life, I lived cautiously. Dating, forget it. Having a crush, I kept it locked inside. But we're living in the age of the internet and dating apps. One swipe, one flirty message, one beautiful smile, and suddenly I started stepping over boundaries I'd drawn for myself. The first woman to fully sweep me away was Nura. She was 26, stunning but in a sultry, magnetic way, not the innocent kind. I still remember how barely a week after meeting, she sent me a birthday cake with my name written on it. She already knew all my habits, my favorite cologne when I usually used the bathroom, even what I liked to eat when I was stressed. And she had what I mistook for an emotional wound, a traumatic relationship. She told me her ex used to lock her in the house, check her phone, threaten her. If you ever try to leave me, I'll burn the house down with you in it. She said he told her. She cried when she told me. She said I was the first man she could trust again, that loving me was her last chance at healing. And for a guy like me, being chosen as someone's last hope, especially someone beautiful and broken, was an intoxicating kind of flattery. So I gave in. At first, she was the perfect girlfriend. When I was tired, she'd sit next to me and rub my shoulders. She'd send food to my office, clean my room, encourage me when I was worried about work. She was an angel, until that angel said, "If you ever leave me, I'll kill myself." She sent me a picture, her wrist bloody. I panicked. She apologized. She swore it would never happen again, and I believed her. What I didn't know was that moment was only the beginning of hell. Chapter 2. The beginning of a plan. When I started telling my friends about Nora, the reactions were cautious. "Be careful," some said. "There's something off about her," others warned. But I didn't listen, because Nora told me the world had abandoned her. I didn't want to be just another person who walked away. Everything started changing slowly, subtly. First, she changed the password on my phone for safety, she said. Then she wanted me to cut ties with female friends, even coworkers. "I just love you too much to feel safe with them around," she whispered. I felt something was wrong. But whenever I said no, she hurt herself. Sometimes it was skipping meals. Other times, it was the box cutter. I felt like I was being locked in an invisible cage, like I no longer had control over my own life. And then one day, I caught her. I came home early after a meeting got canceled, and there she was, reading my private digital journal. Not just reading, copying it, emailing it to herself. "What are you doing?" I asked. She looked up calmly and said, "If you ever leave me, I need proof you're mentally unstable." I went numb. That was the moment I realized I wasn't living with someone who was simply unstable. I was living with someone who knew exactly what she was doing, and I knew I had to get out. But escaping someone like Nora is never simple, and I didn't yet realize that this was only the beginning. Chapter 3. The Trap and the Honeymoon from Hell. One night, just as I was about to break up with her, Nora pulled out a pregnancy test. 2 lines. "I'm pregnant?" she said, eyes wide and voice trembling. I was speechless. I didn't know what to feel: panic, rage, fear. I only knew if it was true, everything would change. She cried, told me she didn't want to terminate it. She begged me to marry her so we could raise the baby together, and I was stupid. A week later, we were married. It happened so fast my head was spinning. She moved in with me, started calling my mom to discuss baby names and future plans, but something didn't add up. There was no ultrasound, no clinic receipts, nothing. When I asked, she snapped, "You don't trust me. I chose you to be the father of my child, and now you want to run." I didn't dare ask again. Then came the honeymoon, or what she called a honeymoon. We went to a quiet resort, but she brought a notebook, a thick one. Inside, she had listed everything I had to do, say where. She counted every time I said, "You're beautiful," every hug, every kiss. If I missed one, she cried. If I resisted, she pulled out the razor blade again. I lived that week like a hostage. Every move, every breath monitored. The last night of our honeymoon, I woke up to find her sitting on the floor, face pale, smiling eerily, talking to her empty stomach as if there really was a baby in there. I felt a chill in my bones, and I knew if I didn't do something soon, there'd be no way out. Chapter 4, Escape in the Dark. I started planning. Not a breakup and escape. Living with Nora felt like sitting on a time bomb. One wrong move and everything would explode. I contacted a lawyer, asked about divorce carefully secretly, printed documents at work, smuggled them home in grocery bags, hid them under the bed, created a new email, used a VPN. Meanwhile, Nora got worse. She installed cameras in the living room. For safety, she claimed. One day while I was on the phone with my mom, she barged in, snatched the phone, and screamed, "She's trying to make you leave me, isn't she?" I started locking my bedroom door in my own home. Then one day, when she left for work, I packed. Not much. Just enough to survive a few days. Moved money to a hidden account. Rented a temporary apartment under a friend's name. And I left a note. No apology. No explanation. Just, I can't live in fear anymore. I drove off at 3 a.m., heart pounding like it would break my ribs. Every time I saw headlights behind me, I thought she was following. The relief when I finally locked the door of that new apartment. I collapsed onto the floor. I had escaped. Or so I thought. The next day, she showed up at my workplace, crying, bruised wounds I hadn't caused. She called my mom sobbing that I was abusive, that I abandoned a pregnant wife. She went on Facebook, painted me as a manipulative monster, shared my new address, and I realized this wasn't a toxic relationship anymore. This was war. Chapter 5, A War Without a Declaration. I thought I had escaped, but for Noura, a breakup wasn't an end. It was a declaration of war. Day 1 after I left 23 missed calls, unknown numbers, my mom, even the local police. Yes, the police. Noura had filed a report. She accused me of domestic violence, showed them photos, scratches, bruises, curled in pain, told them I hit her so hard it endangered her unborn child. I froze when I received the police summons. At the station, I explained everything. But how do you prove something didn't happen? I had no photos of my own scratched arms, no video of her threats, only my words and my journal. I printed it. Over 100 pages. Detailed logs of suicide threats, forced apologies, emotional manipulation. The officer flipped through it, reading carefully. After a long pause, he said, "She's been here before. She once said you were the only one who saved her. And now this strange." I wasn't arrested, but I was now on their radar. Meanwhile, social media exploded. Nora posted status updates like serialized fiction. The man I trusted choked me on our wedding night. She created group chats with my friends, sent them injury photos, accused me of being a narcissist, messaged my exes asking for witnesses. But what broke me the most was my mom. She called me voice trembling. "Did you really hit her?" I broke down. In the middle of the night, a 26-year-old man who didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't lay a hand on anyone, sobbing on a cold kitchen floor. Because I realized no one knew who I was anymore. They only saw her story. I wanted to delete social media. But my best friend, the only one who still believed me, said, no, you need to fight back. So I did. I hired a lawyer, specialized in abuse and defamation, told him everything. We started gathering evidence, threatening texts, suspicious emails, call recordings. The breaking point, a security camera video from my apartment complex. One night, Nora stood in the hallway, banging on the door, scratching the walls, screaming at her empty belly, "Mommy's coming for you, baby. We brought it to court." And finally, she cracked. In front of the judge and attorneys, Nora broke down. She sobbed that it was all out of love, that she was just scared of losing the only person she trusted. She begged the court not to institutionalize her, but no one believed her anymore. She was ordered into mandatory psychiatric treatment at a private facility. My restraining order was approved. Our divorce was finalized. I breathed, but deep down I knew I would never walk away from this completely whole. Chapter 6. The Ending and Invisible Scars. I moved to another city. No one there knew my name. No one knew Nora. No one looked at me with pity or suspicion. I began therapy, and I began to write. What started as sleep aid journaling became a system, a survival manual, a way to teach myself the signs of control, of manipulation disguised as love, of silence I thought was devotion, when really I was being led like a puppet. Nora left me with a scar, but not one of a victim, one of a survivor. One day, I found her on Reddit. Not directly, but the username was familiar. The typing style, the ellipses. She was telling the story again. A different version. She was the victim. She had supporters, sympathy. I didn't comment, didn't message, didn't expose her. I just blocked the account and kept writing. If you're hearing this story and it feels too familiar, if you're living it right now, please know not all love is worth saving. Not all pain needs to be endured alone. And you, yes, you have the right to say, I'm not okay and I want to leave. I used to think I was weak for not being able to save her. Now I know I was strong because I saved myself. And that's the story he lived day after day, night after night, with wounds no one could see. If you've ever questioned your relationship, if you've ever felt fear instead of love, please remember you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you deserve a life that's not controlled. What about you? Have you ever met someone like Nura? Leave a comment below. Every story deserves to be heard. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next true Reddit story where truth is always stranger than fiction.